Before sleep comes, before the room quiets fully, imagine the sea. Not the restless waves of storm or the crash of breakers on rocks, but the endless, slow-moving body of water that has always been here, cradling continents, carrying the breath of wind, reflecting stars with calm patience. The sea is not simply water, it is memory, depth, and story. For as long as humans have lived near its shores, we have listened to its voice, and we have woven its murmurs into myth. Close your eyes, and hear the hush of waves upon sand. Soft, steady, rhythmic. A lullaby repeated endlessly across centuries. The same song that touched the ears of ancient sailors, fishermen, children gathered on the shore. The sea sings not in words, but in tones, a low and constant chant that shapes dreams. From that song arose tales, creatures hidden in depths, gods walking on waves, spirits dwelling in shells, islands rising and vanishing like breath. Myths of the sea are as endless as the horizon, yet all share the same current. The sea is alive, and it whispers. The people of old looked outward across its surface and inward into their own imagination. In Greece, they named the sea Poseidon's domain, restless with his moods. In Polynesia, they told of great voyages guided by stars and accompanied by spirits of the deep. In Norse lands, they spoke of Jormungandr, the world serpent coiled beneath the waters. Along African coasts, they told of Marmiwada, the water spirit, both danger and blessing. In Celtic shores, selkies shed their sealskins to walk briefly. As humans, each culture, each shore, found in the sea not only food and danger but mystery and presence, something greater than mere tide and salt. Yet beyond fear or worship, the sea was always comfort. It carried breezes that cooled the skin. Its horizon opened the mind. Its rhythm lulled the body. Children slept to the sound of its voice. Elders rested to its endless breath. And so the myths, even when they spoke of monsters, carried calm, because the sea, even in its danger, was eternal. Its storms passed, its waves softened, its silence always returned. This series is a journey through those myths. We will drift through calm depths, listening to stories of forgotten oceans, where gods and spirits once swam beside ships, where islands rose like dreams, where creatures glided unseen beneath the surface. We will not hurry. Each tale will unfold like a tide, slow, steady, carrying you gently farther into sleep. The details will be long, the rhythm soft, the voice unbroken. Like the sea itself, the stories will surround you, cradle you, whisper you into rest. The ocean is vast, and so are its stories. Some are familiar, some nearly forgotten, some only faint echoes caught in passing waves. But all remind us that beneath the surface of daily life lies a depth we cannot measure. The sea is both mirror and mystery, reflecting stars above while hiding shadows below. Myths live in that balance, between seen and unseen, between shore and depth, between waking and dreamed. So breathe slowly, as though your chest were tide, rising and falling, rising and falling. Let the sea's calm rhythm guide you. Ahead lies a journey through temples of coral, through caverns of pearl, through legends carried on waves and whispered in foam. Ahead lies a journey into the calm depths of forgotten oceans, and as you listen, may the myths of the sea bring you the same. Rest they once brought to countless shores, soft, endless, soothing as the hush of waves upon sand. For as long as people have sailed, they have looked upon the horizon and wondered if it might lead not only to new lands, but to the lands of the dead. Many myths speak of ships that do not return, vessels that drift silently, their sails pale, their crews ghostly. These are not always tales of fear. Often they are stories of passage, of transition, of the sea carrying souls gently into another world. The ship of the dead was both warning and comfort, reminding all who listen that life itself is a voyage, and death is but a new horizon. Dian Norse stories. There is Naglfar, the ship built from the nails of the dead, destined to rise at the world's end, carrying giants to battle. Yet beyond this fearsome image, other tales softened the ship's role, imagining vessels that ferried souls quietly across waters, guided by ancestral hands. In Celtic tradition, the sea itself was a boundary to the other world. Souls crossed waves in spectral boats, their sails glowing faintly, their passage gentle. In Polynesian myths, canoes carried spirits westward, following the sun as it sank, to lands where ancestors waited in peace. Imagine standing on a rocky cliff at twilight. The sea below is calm, the horizon red with the last light of day. As the sky darkens, a shape appears upon the water, silent, pale, its sails full though no wind blows. It drifts smoothly, unhurried, its hull glowing faintly as though lit from within. No voices call, no oars splash. Only silence, only calm. You watch as it passes, and you feel not fear but hush, as though witnessing something sacred. The ship glides toward the horizon, and slowly it fades, leaving only stars reflected in the water. To sailors, the myth of the ship of the dead was both warning and promise. Warning that life is fragile, that voyages may end suddenly. Promise that endings, and not void, but journey. The sea, which carried them in life, would carry them in death as well, with the same patience, the same calm. Sit now in imagination within such a ship. The deck is smooth beneath you, the sails glow faintly, the sea whispers against the hull. You are not alone. You feel presence, though unseen. Ancestors perhaps, companions of spirit, guiding you gently. The ship moves steadily, without wave or wind, as though carried by breath itself. The horizon ahead glows softly, and you drift toward it, without haste, without fear. The myths of the ship of the dead teach surrender. They whisper that death is not plunge but passage, not end but horizon. They remind us that the sea carries all, in life and beyond, without judgment, without noise, only with endless patience. As night deepens, the ship fades. The sea remains calm, the stars glow above, the shore rests behind. You close your eyes, and you feel yourself carried, not by ship, not by sail, but by silence itself. Sleep comes as passage does, soft, steady, certain, like a ship gliding into dream. Along rugged coasts where waves crash against stone, the sea has carved caverns, hollows where water and air mingle, where sound becomes music, where shadows seem alive. To those who lived by the shore, these caves were never empty. They were dwellings of spirits, thresholds to other worlds, places where gods or ancestors whispered in echo. Myths grew from their darkness, shaping them into temples not built by hands but by the patient work of tide. Imagine stepping into such a cave. Outside, the waves roar, but within, the sound changes. The crash softens into rhythm, the foam into whisper. Drops fall from stone above, each one ringing like bell. The air is cool, damp with salt, filled with faint light that filters through. Cracks. The walls glisten with moss and shells, their surfaces etched by centuries of waves. You pause, and the cave breathes with you, its silence not absence but presence. In Greek stories, sea caves were homes of nymphs, daughters of the waves, who sang in chorus with the tide. In Celtic lands, they were thresholds to the other world, passages where selkies slipped between sea and shore. In Norse myth, caves near the sea sheltered trolls and spirits, their roars mingling with storm. In Polynesia, caves were sacred resting places, bones of ancestors laid in chambers where sea and earth met, so that the tide itself might carry their memory. Picture yourself deeper within the cave. The light fades, the echoes grow stronger. You whisper a word, and it returns to you, softened, stretched, transformed. It feels as though the cave itself has spoken back, answering in its own language. You sit upon a smooth rock, your hand tracing patterns carved by water. The rhythm of waves outside continues, steady, eternal, while within, silence grows thick. You feel cradled, hidden, safe, as though inside the body of the sea itself. The myths of sea caves teach listening. They remind us that silence is not empty, that echoes can carry wisdom, that patience reveals voices hidden in stone. They whisper that the world has chambers of rest, where one may sit and hear not noise but reflection. To enter a cave is to enter oneself, to sit within stillness until stillness speaks. Now picture evening upon the shore outside. The waves glow silver in moonlight, the entrance of the cave dark, mysterious, inviting. You sit at its mouth, watching. Stars rise above the horizon, the sea calm before you, the cave breathing softly behind. You close your eyes, and the echoes linger, not frightening but soothing, like lullabies sung by stone. Night deepens. The tide rises, foam curls into the cave, shadows sway upon its walls. The sea hums, the cave echoes, and together they weave a song of calm. You drift with it, your breath steady, your body resting. Sleep comes as softly as water against rock, as steady as echo, as endless as tide. Beneath the ocean surface, where sunlight filters into soft beams, forests grow, not of wood and leaf, but of kelp and seaweed, tall and swaying. These are the green cathedrals of the sea, vast and silent, their canopies rising like trees, their roots anchoring in sand and stone. To divers and fishermen, they seemed like another world, a hidden land beneath the waves. Myth spoke of spirits dwelling in the shadows, of guardians gliding between their trunks, of merfolk weaving garments from their strands. The seaweed. Forests were places of both abundance and mystery, feeding, sheltering, and inspiring awe. Imagine drifting into such a forest. The water is cool, the light golden, broken into shafts by the canopy above. Tall stalks rise around you, swaying gently in current, their leaves long and flowing like banners in wind. Fish dart between them, silver flashes against green. A seal glides past, twisting gracefully, vanishing into shadow. The silence is thick, yet alive, every movement slow, every sound softened. You feel as though you have stepped into a temple built not by stone but by tide. Many cultures, seaweed was more than food. It was gift of the sea, woven into myth. In Japan, certain seaweeds were offerings to gods, their strands used in rituals of purification. In Celtic stories, strands washed ashore were charms, tokens of luck from ocean spirits. In Polynesia, kelp forests were said to be gardens of sea deities, tended by unseen hands, their swaying leaves prayers rising upward. To walk among them in dream was to enter sacred space, where silence itself was blessing. Sit now in imagination within such a forest. You drift slowly, your body buoyant, your breath steady. The kelp rises above, its canopy glowing faintly in filtered light. The stalks sway, brushing gently against one another, whispering in rhythm with current. You reach out, your hand touching a leaf. It is smooth, cool, alive. The forest accepts you, not as stranger but as guest. You feel no urgency, only calm, as though time itself has slowed to match the sway of the seaweed. The myths of seaweed forests teach harmony. They remind that life grows not only on land but beneath water, vast and unseen. They whisper that abundance comes with balance, that beauty can be hidden yet immense, that silence itself can be fertile. To wander here is to wander through memory of the earth itself, when all was sea, when forests grew from tide. Now picture evening upon the surface above. The waves calm, the horizon glows, the sky fades to silver. Beneath, the forest sways still, untroubled by storms, untouched by noise. You float between worlds, the sky above, the forest below, both endless, both patient. You breathe slowly, and you feel carried, held, embraced. Night deepens. Bioluminescent sparks flicker among the kelp, small creatures glowing softly, drifting like stars between green pillars. The sea hushes, the forest sways, the silence folds around you. You close your eyes, and you drift into sleep, cradled in the calm embrace of the underwater forest, as though the sea itself were rocking you gently in its arms. On calm nights, when the wind rests and the sea lies still, the water becomes mirror. It reflects the sky so perfectly that horizon vanishes, and one cannot tell where earth ends and heaven begins. To those who lived upon coasts and voyaged across waves, such nights were sacred. They saw the ocean not only as water but as sky doubled, a mirror of eternity, a place where stars live twice, above in heavens and below upon surface. Myths were born from these moments, when the world seemed to fold upon itself in beauty. Imagine standing upon a quiet shore at midnight. The tide is low, the sand damp, the air cool. Above, stars scatter endless. Below, the water glows faintly, reflecting them, each ripple carrying light. You step closer, and it feels as though you are stepping among constellations, your footprints, fading into galaxies. You lift your gaze, and the stars are the same above and below. The world is doubled, silent, endless. In Polynesia, navigators read both skies, the heavens above and their reflection upon water, believing the sea carried messages from stars. In Greek myth, the goddess Nyx, night itself, spread her cloak, not only across sky but upon sea, her jewels scattering in both realms. In Celtic tales, souls of the departed were said to sail across mirrored waters, their boats gliding upon stars. Everywhere, people felt or when sea and sky became one. Sit now in imagination within a canoe upon such a night. The paddle dips softly, each stroke sending ripples across stars. The water is silent, the air still, the sky vast. You lean back, gaze upward, then downward, and the two are the same. You drift not upon ocean, but upon infinity, carried gently. Between mirrored worlds, the myths of the ocean's mirror teach unity. They remind that the boundary between earth and sky, between body and spirit, between life and dream, is thin. They whisper that reflection is not illusion but truth, that what shines above also shines within. To gaze upon mirrored stars is to gaze upon one's own eternity. Vast yet calm. As dawn approaches, the stars fade, the horizon returns, the sea ripples with light. Yet the memory lingers, the doubled world, the infinite calm. You close your eyes, and behind your lids, stars still shimmer, both above and below, carrying you softly into dream. On every shore, scattered like forgotten jewels, lie shells. Some are small and pale, fragile as breath. Others are large, coiled in spirals, strong as stone. To those who gathered them, shells were never only decoration. They were vessels of sound, of memory, of the sea's own whisper. Myths told that shells held voices of gods, songs of mermaids, breath of ancestors. To place one against the ear was to hear not emptiness but ocean, echoing across distance, carrying calm into the heart. Imagine a child on a beach at dawn. The tide has just retreated, leaving damp sand scattered with treasures, bits of coral, strands of seaweed, driftwood, and shells. The child bends, lifting one, turning it in hands. It glows faintly in soft light, its spiral smooth, its ridges gentle. She places it against her ear, and a hush fills her. It is not noise but presence, a soft endless sound, like tide upon sand. She smiles, for she hears the sea, though she stands upon land. Cultures around the world gave shells sacred meaning. In Hindu tradition, the conch shell was trumpet of gods, its sound carrying across heaven and earth. In Polynesia, shells were used in ceremonies to call spirits, their spirals seen as paths between worlds. In Greek myth, Triton, son of Poseidon, blew upon a great conch to calm or rouse the sea. In Africa, cowrie shells were symbols of fertility, their shape echoing life itself. Everywhere, shells spoke with voices beyond their size, their silence. Filled with meaning, sit now in imagination upon a quiet shore, a shell in your hand. You hold it to your ear, and you hear the sea, not loud, not fierce, but steady, calm. The waves you cannot see are carried to you, folded within the spiral. It feels like listening to memory itself, the ocean condensed into sound. You breathe. Slowly, and the shell breathes with you, its whisper steady, eternal. The myths of shells teach listening beyond sight. They remind that presence can be carried in small things, that the vast sea can be held in a hand, that silence itself can. Echo. They whisper that memory is not lost, only transformed, waiting to be heard if one listens closely. Now picture evening upon the beach. The tide returns, washing softly over sand, reclaiming shells, scattering new ones. The horizon glows red, then purple, then dark. You sit with a shell still in your hand, its whisper still in your ear. You close your eyes, and its sound lingers, not ocean exactly, but dream of ocean, soft, steady, endless. Night falls, stars scatter above, waves hush below. The shell lies beside you, its spiral glistening in starlight, its whisper continuing. Even in sleep, you drift gently, carried not by tide but by sound, into dream as endless as the sea itself. The sea is endless, yet the eye insists on drawing a line. Where water meets sky, a band of blue upon blue, a line that is not truly there, yet always visible. For sailors and storytellers alike, the horizon was mystery. It marked both boundary and promise, edge of vision and beginning of dream. Myths gathered around it like mist. Some said the world ended there, others that it curved into heavens, still others that islands or other realms waited just beyond sight. Imagine standing upon a deck at midday. The sun is bright, the waves glitter, and all around stretches water. The only break is the horizon, distant and perfect. You stare at it, and your mind drifts. Perhaps there is land beyond, perhaps gods walk there, perhaps ancestors wait. The line calls softly, never loud, never near, always just far enough to hold wonder. Cultures gave names to horizons. In Norse lands, the Midgard serpent coiled beneath it, circling the world. In Polynesia, the horizon was gateway, the place where voyagers sailed to meet spirits of the dead. In medieval Europe, maps warned of monsters lurking just beyond. Yet alongside fear was hope. The horizon was not only end but beginning, always promising more than eyes could see. Sit now in imagination upon a shore. The tide is low, the sand damp, the air filled with salt. You watch the horizon. It glows faintly in the light of dusk. Red shifting to purple, purple fading to deep blue. The sea reflects it, and the line blurs until sky and water are one. You feel calm, as though the world has no edge at all, only endless continuation. The myths of the horizon teach wonder. They remind us that not all mysteries are to be solved, that some are to be cherished, left as promise. They whisper that life itself has horizons, lines between known and unknown, seen and unseen, present and dream. To rest in their presence is to rest in possibility. Day as night falls, the horizon vanishes. Stars scatter across sky and sea alike, no boundary, no line. The world feels infinite, and you within it small but safe. You close your eyes, and in dream the horizon remains, not as barrier, but as invitation, leading you gently forward into endless calm. Among all the movements of the sea, none are as steady, as patient, as eternal as the tides. They rise, they fall, they retreat, they return. Day after day, night after night, the sea breathes against the shore, never forgetting, never hurrying. To those who lived upon coasts, the tides were more than water. They were rhythm, calendar, heartbeat. Myths grew around them, giving faces and voices to their endless pulse. Imagine standing upon the sand at dawn. The tide is low, the beach wide, shells scattered across damp ground. Pools glimmer with small fish, crabs scuttle, seaweed lies in. Strands like ribbons. Slowly, almost without notice, the water begins to creep forward. Wave by wave, the tide returns, covering footprints, claiming shells, carrying new gifts to the shore. By noon the beach is gone, replaced by glittering surface. By night it will return, bare once more. This breathing of the sea continues, endless, eternal. In Greek myth, the tides were guided by Selene the moon, her glow pulling water as surely as it pulled human hearts. In Polynesia, tides were spirits dancing with the moon, their steps seen in the rise and fall of waves. In Celtic lands, tides were woven into prophecy, their timing read for omens. Everywhere, the link between moon and sea was felt, a bond of glow and water, light and motion. To look upon the tide was to see the moon's hand made visible. Sit now in imagination at the edge of night tide. The moon glows above, the waves creep forward, silver lines shimmering across sand. You feel the water touch your toes, then retreat, then return. It is like breathing, slow and calm. In, out, in, out. The tide teaches patience, reminding that life too has rhythms, that absence is always followed by return, that emptiness is only part of cycle. The myths of tides teach acceptance. They whisper that all things ebb and flow, that nothing stays still forever, that change is not loss but rhythm. They remind us that time itself breathes, carrying us gently from one moment to the next, never ceasing, never rushing. To rest with tide is to rest within eternity. Day as dawn brightens, the tide begins again. The sand vanishes, the waves advance. The shore transforms. Yet the calm remains. You close your eyes, and you breathe with the tide, slow, steady, endless. Sleep comes like water upon sand, soft, patient, returning always, eternal as the sea. The sea begins at the shore. It is here that land ends, that human footsteps pause, and that imagination takes its first deep breath. For those who lived long ago, the shore was more than boundary, it was a threshold. The waves lapped gently, retreating and returning, like a hand forever reaching and withdrawing. Children sat upon sand, listening to its rhythm, while elders told stories carried on salt air. The shore was not silence, but it was not noise either. It was something in between, a steady lull that gave birth to myths. Imagine a small village beside such a shore. The huts are built from palm and reed, smoke rising faintly from cooking fires. Nets dry in the sun, shells scatter across the sand, footprints lead into the water and back again. In the evenings, as the sky turns gold, families gather near the tide line. The sea breathes before them, endless and calm. They speak softly, not to disturb its rhythm, telling tales of what lies beyond the horizon, of spirits that live in the depths, of islands that rise suddenly in the distance and vanish like dreams. Every culture by the sea had such stories. For the Maya, the sea was bound to creation itself, the primordial waters from which land emerged. For the Polynesians, the shore was departure point for voyagers guided by stars, each wave carrying them toward unseen lands. For the Celts, the shoreline was a place of selkies, seals that could shed their skins to walk upon the sand as humans, their eyes deep as the tide. For the Norse, shores led to oceans where Jormungandr slept, the world serpent whose coils held the earth itself. Each story began with the same sound, the hush of waves. The shore is where humans listened longest. The sound of waves entering the ear is like breath itself, rising and falling, rising and falling. To sleep beside the sea is to sleep with the world's oldest lullaby. Myths grew from this rhythm, not from fear alone but from comfort, from wonder. The endless horizon was both promise and mystery. It promised that beyond lay other lands, other lives, other stories. It whispered that the ocean was alive, that its voice carried meaning. Walk along such a shore in your imagination. The sand is cool beneath your feet, damp where the tide has touched, soft where the waves retreat. Shells gleam in pale light, fragments of creatures once alive, now small offerings from the sea. Driftwood lies scattered, smoothed by water, polished by patience. The air smells of salt and kelp, sharp but clean. Each step carries you closer to the water, and the foam curls around your toes, tickling gently before slipping away. You pause, and the sea pauses with you, as if waiting for your thoughts. At night, the shore transforms. The waves glow faintly with plankton, each ripple lit by blue sparks of life. Stars scatter above, mirrored faintly in wet sand. The horizon is no longer a line but a blending of dark sky and dark sea. You lie upon the sand, listening to the waves, and they sound like breath, like whisper, like story. Myths come easily here, because the sea itself seems to tell them. Its voice is constant, yet never the same. No two waves repeat. Each is a word in an eternal story, a story that never ends. To the old storytellers, the shore was classroom and temple. Children learn to listen here, to find patterns in foam, to hear voices in wind. They learned that the sea was not empty but full, not silent but speaking, not dangerous alone but also kind. The myths they were told softened the vastness into shape. The selkies' gaze, the sea god's anger, the island that drifted, these gave meaning to the endless horizon. They were not lies but translations, ways of understanding what could not be measured. Now, centuries later, we still stand at shores. We still listen to waves, still gather at dusk, still imagine what lies beyond. The myths have changed, perhaps, their names different, their details shifted. Yet the feeling is the same: awe, comfort, curiosity, calm. The sea's voice is timeless, its rhythm unchanged. To sit at the edge of the shore is to sit where countless before you have sat, where countless after you will sit, all listening to the same hush. The shore teaches beginnings. It tells us that myth does not start in books or temples, but in breath, in sound, in the lull of water upon sand. It whispers that imagination begins not in noise but in quiet, not in fear but in wonder. To rest here is to remember that the world is vast but kind, that the unknown is deep but patient, that stories rise like tides, again and again, never ending. Day as night deepens, the waves continue their rhythm. The stars brighten, the foam glows, the air cools. You close your eyes, and the sound fills you, steady, soft, eternal. The shore remains, the sea breathes, the myths whisper, and you drift gently into sleep, carried like a shell upon the tide. The sea was not only horizon and mystery, it was livelihood. For countless generations, fishermen rose before dawn, walked softly across sand, and pushed their canoes into calm waters. Theirs was a life measured not by clock but by tide, not by coin but by catch. And with each cast of net, with each lowering of line, they listened to the sea and gave it stories in return. Myths of the fishermen were born not in palaces or temples but in quiet mornings, in rocking boats, in the hush. Between waves, imagine such a morning. The sky is pale, touched with the first light of day. The horizon glows faintly, the sea calm and dark, reflecting a thin crescent moon. Fishermen move quietly, their feet leaving soft prints in sand. Their canoes are narrow, carved from single trunks, their paddles smooth with use. They push into water, their hands steady, their movements practiced. The sea receives them without resistance, carrying them outward with gentle rocking. Nets lie coiled in the boats, baskets ready, hooks and lines prepared. Yet more than tools, they carry patience, for the sea gives in its own time. The fishermen's myths told of beings beneath the surface, spirits who might bless a catch or steal it away. Some spoke of mermaids whose songs could soothe or drown, depending on their mood. Others told of sea serpents who guarded shoals of fish, demanding offerings before release. In Polynesian stories, great fish were guided to shore by ancestral spirits, while in Norse tales, the sea god Njord calmed waters for those who honored him. Among the Maya, certain fish were sacred, their shimmering scales tied to celestial cycles. Each culture wove its own net of story, yet all agreed, fishing was more than labor. It was a dialogue with the unseen. As the boats drift farther, the sun rises slowly. The sky turns gold, the water brightens, and the nets are cast. They fall. Wide, spreading across the surface, sinking gently. Fishermen watch, waiting for the tug, listening to the creak of wood, the whisper of waves against hulls. The sea is both generous and withholding, both mother and judge. When fish fill the nets, gratitude rises. When they come back empty, patience remains. Either way, stories are told, to explain fortune, to explain lack, to weave meaning into the rhythm of survival. Picture a fisherman returning with a heavy net. The village gathers as he spreads it upon the sand, revealing fish silver in sunlight, scales glimmering like coins. Children laugh and point, women prepare fires, elders nod in approval. The fisherman thanks the sea aloud, perhaps casting back the smallest fish as offering. His story that evening will tell not only of the catch but of what he saw, the flash of a dolphin, the leap of a ray, the shadow beneath the boat that might have been more than fish. Myths live in those shadows, in the shapes glimpsed but not. Noonday tea night, when fires burn low and nets dry, fishermen tell their tales. They speak of the one who saw a mermaid combing her hair with shells, of the one whose net caught nothing until he sang a certain song, of the one who dreamed of ancestors guiding his boat through fog. These stories are not told with urgency, but with calm, their details unfolding slowly, like waves upon waves. Children fall asleep listening, the sea outside repeating the same rhythm as the voice. Now, centuries later, fishermen still cast nets, still rise with dawn, still listen to waves. The engines may hum where once paddles splashed, the nets may be woven differently, but the rhythm is the same. The sea still gives, still withholds, still whispers. And though many may no longer believe in mermaids or serpents, the feeling remains that fishing is a dialogue, a waiting, a partnership with something greater than oneself. Sit in such a boat in imagination. The wood is rough beneath you, the water rocking gently. You hold the net in your hands, feeling its weight, its knots, its patience. You cast it wide, and it sinks, the ripples spreading softly. You wait, listening to silence, to the hum of insects far on shore, to the cry of a bird above, to the sea's low breathing. You realize that the waiting is itself a kind of prayer, a myth in action. The catch may come or not, but the story always does. The fisherman's myths teach humility. They remind that humans do not command the sea, they ask of it. They teach patience, gratitude, respect. They whisper that every fish caught is a gift, every empty net a lesson, every shadow beneath the surface a reminder of mystery. As evening falls, the sea glows faintly with stars above and stars reflected below. Nets are drawn in, canoes return. Fires light the shore. The sea rests, the fishermen rest, the stories continue. You close your eyes, and you too drift with the rhythm of tide, carried gently into dreams by the calm patience of the sea. On the wide sea, where the horizon stretches without end, islands appear like mirages. Sailors returning from long voyages speak of lands that rose from mist, glowing green and gold, only to vanish when approached. Myths of vanishing islands are woven across many shores. In Celtic lands they tell of High Brazil, the island that appeared once every 7 years, veiled in haze. In the tales of the Maya and other peoples of the Caribbean, islands drifted across the waves like living beings, shifting from place to place. In the Pacific, stories speak of phantom isles glimpsed at sunrise, gone by midday. These myths are born of the horizon itself, vast, shifting, always promising more than it reveals. Imagine a sailor upon his canoe, the sea calm, the sky bright. Far ahead, where water and air meet, a shape rises. It is dark at first, then green, then touched with gold by sunlight. Trees appear, tall and swaying, birds circle above, waterfalls shimmer down cliffs. The sailor rows harder, his heart steady, his eyes fixed. Yet as he draws nearer, the island fades. The trees blur, the cliffs soften, the birds vanish. At last, only horizon remains. He pauses, breathless, listening to the silence. Was it dream, or vision, or truth half hidden? He returns to shore with a story, and the story itself becomes part of the sea's endless rhythm. These islands were not feared but wondered at. They were places of possibility. Perhaps they were lands of the dead, where ancestors walked in calm fields. Perhaps they were homes of spirits, visible only when they wished to be seen. Perhaps they were rewards for the patient, glimpses of paradise. The myths gave the sea both mystery and kindness, reminding listeners that not all that vanishes is lost. Sometimes absence itself is gift, reminding us to look again, to listen more deeply. Now imagine walking upon a shore at dusk. The horizon glows with fading light. The sea mirrors it in soft gold. For a moment, you see it, an island rising far away, its outline sharp against the sky. You blink, and it is gone. Yet the calm remains, the tide steady, the air cool. You smile softly, knowing that whether real or dream, the island has visited you. Myths live in such glimpses, in moments when the world opens slightly to show what it holds beyond. To the old sailors, vanishing islands taught humility. They reminded that the sea was greater than human eyes could measure. They whispered that mystery is not to be solved but cherished. And they carried comfort, for if an island could vanish, so too could worries, so too could storms. All things pass, all things soften, all things return in cycles like tide. Sit now in imagination within your canoe. The water rocks gently, the horizon stretches, the air smells of salt and sun. Far away, you see a shape rising, beautiful, unreachable. You do not row harder. You rest, and you watch, and you accept its gift of appearing. The island remains for a time, then fades. Yet, its calm lingers in you, like a song that continues after silence. The myth of vanishing islands is not only story but lullaby. It tells us that what we seek may come, may go, may appear briefly, may vanish quickly. Yet the sea continues, the tide continues, the breath continues. Sleep itself is like such an island, appearing gently, carrying us for a time, then vanishing. Into dawn night falls. The stars scatter across the sky, their reflections flickering in waves. The horizon darkens, yet your heart is calm. You close your eyes, and the vanishing island drifts within your dreams, not lost, but waiting for return. Beneath the surface of the ocean, in depths where sunlight fades into blue silence, move the largest creatures ever to live upon the earth. Whales, vast and slow, their bodies heavier than temples, their journeys stretching farther than kingdoms. To ancient sailors, they were mysteries, shadows beneath the waves, spouts of breath rising suddenly from the sea, songs carried across water like voices from another world. In myths, whales became gods, islands, teachers. Their size demanded awe, but their presence inspired calm. For though they could overturn ships, they rarely did. More often they moved with patience, breathing slowly, guiding silently, carrying the sea's secrets within them. Imagine sitting in a canoe upon calm water. The horizon glows with morning light, the sea is still. Suddenly, the surface breaks. A dark back rises, glistening, immense. A plume of breath shoots upward, glittering. In sunlight, then drifts away as mist. The whale sinks again, leaving only ripples. The boat rocks gently, the fisherman holds his breath. He has seen a god, or something close to one. He will return with story, with awe, with myth. Many cultures shape tales of whales. In Norse legend, the half-goofa was so vast it appeared as an island, luring sailors to anchor upon its back before sinking into the deep. In the Pacific, whales were guardians, companions to voyagers, guiding canoes across endless waters. Among the Inuit, they were beings of spirit, demanding respect. In every hunt, offering themselves as gifts rather than prey. In modern echoes, we know their songs carry for miles, deep notes weaving through the water like chants. To lie upon a boat and hear such a song through the wood is to feel the voice of the ocean itself. Now imagine night upon the sea. Stars scatter. Across the sky, the water mirrors them faintly. Beneath the boat, the ocean hums. A low sound rises, deep and slow, vibrating through the wood, through the body, through the breath. It is the whale song, not word but tone, not story but presence. It soothes, it steadies, it carries the listener into calm. Children fell asleep to such sounds, wrapped in blankets upon canoes, the sea itself singing them into dream. The myths of whales teach scale, but not to frighten. They remind us that the world is larger than we can measure, but that largeness can be gentle. The whale does not hurry, does not rage. It breathes, it sings, it travels. To live like a whale is to live in patience, in calm strength, in rhythm with the tide. Sit in imagination at the edge of the shore. Waves lap softly, the horizon glows faintly with moonlight. Far out, you see a dark shape rise, hear the faint exhale of breath, watch mist scatter silver in air. The whale moves slowly, deliberately, as if unhurried by centuries. You breathe in time with it, long and deep, slow and steady. The sea grows calm within you. As night deepens, the whale song continues. You close your eyes, and the low hum lingers, vibrating softly like heartbeat. The sea cradles you, the whale's voice surrounds you, and sleep comes, not sudden, but slow, deep, endless as the ocean itself. On the misty shores of the northern seas, where waves crash against cliffs and fog drifts low across sand, stories tell of selkies. They are seals in the water, sleek and silent, their dark eyes reflecting moonlight. But when they come ashore, they shed their skins, laying them carefully upon rocks, and walk as humans. Their hair glistens like seaweed, their eyes deep as tide pools, their voices soft as foam. The selkies belong to both worlds, the sea and the land, yet are fully at home in neither. Their myths are not of conquest or fear, but of longing, of gentle presence, of quiet sadness. Imagine standing on a lonely shore at dusk. The sea is calm, the tide low, the sand dark and wet. Mist curls in from the horizon, carrying the scent of salt and kelp. Then, from the waves, shapes rise, seals, their bodies glistening, their movements graceful. They haul themselves upon rocks, shake off water, and with quiet patience peel away their skins. Beneath the seal's hide is a human figure, pale in moonlight, eyes wide with reflection. They laugh softly, play upon the sand, dance in circles, their hair flying, their voices mingling with the hush of tide. To see them is to glimpse a secret, a story unfolding in silence. In Celtic tales, fishermen sometimes found these skins. If hidden, the selkie could not return to sea, bound instead to the land, living as a human spouse, raising children, yet always longing for the water. Their songs carried that longing, soft and endless, like the rhythm of waves. When at last the skin was found again, the selkie would slip away, back into the ocean, leaving behind only memory. The myth is gentle, not cruel, filled with the calm ache of belonging to two places, unable to remain in one. Sit upon a rock in imagination, the mist thick around you. You hear laughter faintly, shapes moving just beyond sight. A selkie passes. Near, her eyes catching yours, her gaze not startled but soft, as if recognizing something shared. She does not speak, but her presence is enough. The sea washes close, the foam curling around her feet, and she smiles faintly before slipping back into the tide. The water accepts her, the waves close over, and the shore grows quiet again. The myth of the selkies teaches longing without despair. It whispers that it is possible to love two worlds, even if one can never fully remain in both. It reminds us that beauty often comes with distance, that presence is precious because it is fleeting. The selkies are not monsters, not dangers, but companions of dream, appearing softly, vanishing gently, leaving only calm behind. Now picture night fully upon the shore. The mist glows silver in moonlight, the sea dark but calm. You close your eyes, and you hear the faint sound of laughter, of singing, of water lapping softly against rocks. The selkies remain, not visible, but near. Their stories fold around you like mist, cool, gentle, endless. Sleep comes as softly as their steps. Upon sand, as certain as their return to sea. The sea hides treasures, not only in sunken ships or coral gardens, but in the quiet labor of oysters. Pearls, small and luminous, were to many cultures more than ornaments. They were fragments of the moon, fallen into the sea, caught and polished by patient shells. Their glow seemed too pure, too gentle, to come from earth alone. Myths arose across shores. In China, pearls were tears of dragons. In Persia, they were drops of moonlight. In Polynesia, they were gifts of gods who carried the stars in their hands. To hold a pearl was to hold a piece of the sky, softened by the sea. Imagine a diver centuries ago. He stands upon the deck of a small canoe, the morning sun rising. He breathes deeply, ties a stone to his waist, and slips into water. The sea closes over him, cool and dark. Down he drifts, past fish that shimmer silver, past coral glowing faintly. At last he reaches the seabed, where oysters cling to rock. He pries one free, then another, his lungs burning, his mind calm. He rises swiftly, breaking the surface with gasp and spray. In his hand, rough shells. Within them, perhaps, a pearl, small, round, glowing softly in morning light. To those on shore, pearls were not chance but blessing. They were seen as offerings from the sea itself, gifts that came only through patience and courage. The myths told that pearls carried protection, luck, fertility, wisdom. Women wore them as charms for safe childbirth, sailors kept them for calm seas, rulers treasured them as symbols of purity. In Japan, stories told of mermaids who wept pearls. Instead of tears, their sorrow shining white upon the seabed. In India, Pearls were said to fall from the sky during storms, caught by oysters who open their shells to drink rain. Sit in imagination with a pearl in your hand. It is smooth, cool, light. Its surface reflects light softly, not like mirror but like moonlit water. You turn it slowly, and it glows in each angle, a sphere of calm. You feel not greed but peace, as though the pearl were not wealth but presence, a reminder of the sea's patience. For it is formed slowly, layer by layer, year by year, around a grain of sand. Beauty built not suddenly but by time, by care, by silence. The myths of pearls teach gentleness. They remind that light can be held softly, that treasure need not be vast to be profound. They whisper that beauty is not surface alone but process. The slow creation of calm around irritation, of glow around struggle. To carry a pearl is to carry the lesson that even pain can be transformed into radiance by patience. Now picture evening upon the shore. The sky glows silver, the moon rises, its reflection trembling upon the sea. You hold a pearl in your palm, and it shines faintly, as though answering the moon. The waves hush softly, the air cools, the world feels small and safe. You close your eyes, and the pearl's glow lingers behind your lids, soft, round, endless. It carries you gently into sleep, like the sea carries moonlight upon its waves. The sea is not always calm. At times, it rises in fury, its waves crashing high, its winds howling like living voices. To those who lived by its edge, storms were not merely weather but presence. Spirits were thought to ride the winds, to lash the waves, to churn the skies. Yet even these spirits, fierce as they seemed, were woven into myth with reverence, not hatred. 4 storms passed, as all things do, and in their wake came silence, renewal, and calm. Imagine standing upon a shore at dusk, the horizon darkening with heavy clouds. The air grows thick, the wind restless, the sea uneasy. A flash of lightning splits the sky, followed by the deep roll of thunder. To ancient eyes, these were no accidents. They were battles of gods, voices of spirits, signs of power beyond human reach. In Norse tales, storms were Thor's hammer striking sky and sea. In the Caribbean, they were Hurricane, the one-legged storm god, whose breath spun winds and waves. In Polynesia, storm spirits were navigators too, testing the skill of sailors, sharpening their courage. Everywhere, storms carried meaning as well as danger. Picture a small canoe caught in such a storm. Waves rise higher than huts, rain lashes down in sheets, wind screams through every gap. The sailor grips his paddle, his eyes steady. He calls upon spirits for mercy, upon ancestors for guidance. The canoe pitches, the sea roars, but within the chaos there is rhythm. Each wave rises, crashes, passes. Each gust comes, screams, fades. The storm is not endless. It is a cycle, fierce yet finite. To endure is to learn patience, to trust that calm always follows. On land, families huddled within huts, fires extinguished, prayers whispered. The storm outside was terrifying, but also intimate. Its roar was like breath magnified, its thunder like drums, its lightning like torches in the sky. Myths told that spirits traveled in storms not to harm but to remind. To remind humans of the sea's strength, of nature's voice, of humility. And when the storm passed, when dawn returned clear and bright, the air smelled new, the world washed clean, the silence deeper than before. Now, centuries later, storms still come. They batter coasts, sink ships, bend trees. But myths linger. Within them, sailors still speak of tempests as if alive, storms named as though they had wills. People still listen to thunder as voice, still see lightning as sign. And when silence follows, it is as profound as it ever was. Sit in imagination at the edge of a storm's passing. The clouds break slowly, the rain eases, the waves calm. Sunlight pierces through, golden across wet sand, glimmering on water still restless but softening. The air is cool, washed, fresh. You breathe deeply, and it fills you with quiet. The storm is gone, but its rhythm remains in your chest, steady as heartbeat. The myths of storm spirits teach endurance. They remind that even the fiercest noise passes, that silence always returns, that fear can become calm if one waits. They whisper that power is not enemy but teacher, showing us our smallness but also our resilience. Night comes after the storm. Stars appear, their light clear, the sky scrubbed clean. The waves hush, the sand glows faintly in moonlight. You close your eyes, the roar of storm replaced by the gentlest lull of tide. Sleep comes like calm after noise, like silence after thunder, soft, profound, eternal. The sea has always been imagined as filled with voices. Not only the crash of waves or the cry of gulls, but softer voices, songs rising from beneath the foam, carried upon currents, reaching the ears of those who listen closely. From these whispers came the myths of mermaids, beings half human, half sea, whose beauty was matched only by their mystery. Their songs lulled sailors, their eyes shimmered with tide, their presence both blessing and danger. Yet, more than threat, they embodied longing, the longing of the sea itself to speak with those who walk the shore. Imagine a quiet evening on a calm sea. A fisherman rests in his canoe, nets pulled in, the day's work done. The water is smooth, the horizon glowing with the last blush of sunset. Then, faintly, a sound rises, not gull, not wave, but voice. A melody drifts across the water, clear, yet distant, soft yet steady. The fisherman pauses, his heart slow, his breath caught. He listens, and the sea itself seems to sing. From the depths, a figure rises, a woman's form, her hair dark and flowing, her tail shimmering with scales of silver and green. She does not speak, only sings, her voice weaving with the hush of tide. Cultures across the world told such stories. In Greek myth, sirens sang sailors into dream, their voices irresistible. In Slavic waters, the selkies were spirits of rivers and lakes, their songs both mournful and enchanting. In West Africa, tales of Mami Wata spoke of beauty beyond measure, her presence both gift and danger. In Celtic lands, merrows slipped from sea to land, their songs carrying longing for the waves. Always the theme was the same, the sea speaks, and its voice is song. Now imagine sitting upon a rocky shore at night. The moonlight glimmers upon the waves, and the air is cool, damp with salt. You hear a faint song, drifting closer, echoing across water. It is not loud, not insistent. It is calm, steady, like a lullaby. You close your eyes, and the sound grows clearer. It does not command, it comforts. It wraps around you like a blanket, its rhythm steady as breath. Whether sung by mermaid or by sea itself, it is the same, a song of rest. Sailors spoke of mermaid songs with awe. Some feared them, saying they led men astray, lured boats onto rocks. Others cherished them, saying they calmed storms, soothed hearts, promised love. The myths carried both danger and gentleness, but always they spoke of power, the power of song to reach into silence, to soften fear, to remind the weary of beauty. The mermaid's lullaby teaches that not all voices are meant to command. Some are meant to soothe. They remind us that sound can be gentle, that beauty can be soft, that the unknown can bring peace. Whether real or imagined, the songs of the sea have always lulled listeners into dream. Night deepens. The stars scatter. Wide, the moon glows bright, the waves hush softly. A voice rises still, faint and endless, mingling with foam. You lie upon the sand, eyes closed, breath slow, and the song carries you. It does not end. It fades into dream, where mermaids glide. Beneath waves, singing always, endlessly, softly. Not all temples rise from stone. Some are grown, slowly, silently, from the patient labor of countless tiny beings. Coral reefs, stretching like cities beneath the waves, are the sea's own architecture. Pillars, arches, walls, and towers, glowing with color, alive with motion. To ancient peoples who glimpsed them through clear water, or who heard stories from divers returning with shells and fish, these reefs were more than habitat. They were temples beneath the sea, sanctuaries built not by human hands but by the sea itself. Imagine diving into such a world. The water cools as you sink, light scattering into shafts, breaking into colors. Around you rise columns of coral, branching like trees, folding like flowers, twisting like roots. Small fish dart in and out, their scales shimmering with every hue. Sea anemones wave soft arms, crabs scuttle across sandy floors, starfish cling like living ornaments. The silence is profound, broken only by the rush of bubbles, the hum of your breath. It is not emptiness but fullness, a choir of life without noise. To the Maya, coral was sacred, shaped into jewelry, carved into offerings. In Polynesia, reefs were described as living ancestors, their growth echoing genealogies, each branch a lineage. In Greek stories, coral was born from blood of Medusa, hardened by sea to glow forever. In countless traditions, reefs were not dead stone but living temples, reminders that the sea built as surely as humans built, that life creates sanctuaries of its own. Sit now in imagination at the edge of a reef. You do not swim, but drift, carried by gentle current. The coral glows faintly, lit by filtered sunlight. Fish move in schools, weaving patterns like woven cloth. A turtle glides slowly past, unhurried, ancient. The water is warm, the silence deep, the rhythm slow. You feel cradled, as though the sea itself has wrapped arms around you. The myths of coral temples teach that beauty need not be loud, need not be sudden. It can grow quietly, layer by layer, creature by creature, until it becomes vast and luminous. They remind that temples need not rise above ground, they can bloom beneath waves. They whisper that patience creates wonder, that time itself is artist, that the smallest beings together shape the grandest sanctuaries. Now picture evening upon the surface. The reef below glows faintly, even in fading light. The sea ripples softly, the horizon turns gold, then red, then violet. You float above, looking down, and the coral glimmers like stars inverted, constellations beneath the water. You breathe slowly, your body buoyant, your mind calm. The reef is beneath you, the sky above you, both endless, both alive. Night falls. The water grows dark, but still the reef hums with quiet life. Bioluminescent creatures flicker softly, blue and green sparks drifting like fireflies in water. The coral temple does not sleep, it glows, it breathes, it endures. You close your eyes, and you drift with it, carried by current, embraced by silence, soothed by the calm architecture of the sea. Among the countless myths born of the ocean, few are as enduring as those of the sea serpent. Long and sinuous, vast beyond imagining, its coils were said to circle islands, its head to rise higher than masts, its eyes to glow like lanterns in the dark. To the Norse, it was Jormungandr, the world serpent, lying hidden beneath the waves, destined to rise at the end of days. To the Greeks, it was a creature hurled from God's anger, writhing through waters, a terror to sailors. To Polynesians, serpentine beings swam as guardians of sacred lagoons, fierce yet protective. Everywhere, the serpent was present, not always as threat, but always as mystery. Imagine a sailor gazing out at the horizon. The sea is calm, the sky pale. Then, faintly, he sees it, a line of movement, long and unbroken, rippling like a living wave. A head rises briefly, shining wet in sunlight, before sinking again. Was it whale, was it wave, or was it something greater? The sailor returns with story, and the story grows, passed from tongue to tongue, until the serpent coils across maps, drawn upon margins as warning. As wonder.to ancient minds, serpents embodied the unknown depths. They were the size of imagination itself, impossible to measure, stretching beyond sight. Some said they were keepers of the underworld, their bodies connecting life and death, sea and sky. Others said they encircled the world, their tails in their mouths, holding creation together. In all, the serpent was vastness made flesh now. Picture yourself upon a quiet deck at night. The stars shine above, the water glimmers faintly, the horizon dark. Suddenly, the sea swells, and a shape rises, a curve like a hill, scales glistening, eyes glowing faintly. It moves without sound, its length vanishing into distance. You watch, breath caught, but not in fear. The serpent does not strike, does not roar. It passes silently, immense and steady, its presence like shadow. Then it sinks, the sea closing above, the horizon empty again. You breathe slowly, your heart calm, the memory lingering like dream. The myths of the sea serpent teach humility before scale. They remind us that not all can be measured, that some mysteries are too vast for capture. They whisper that the sea holds beings larger than fear, larger than comprehension, and that sometimes or itself is enough. Even now, sailors tell of shapes seen in waves, shadows too long to be whales, ripples too steady to be mere tide. The serpent lives on, not in proof but in imagination, coiled within horizon, surfacing in stories. As evening deepens, you sit at the shore. The sea glows silver in moonlight, the horizon dark, endless. You close your eyes, and you see it still, the vast coil, the glowing eye, the silent passage. It is not threat but lullaby, reminding you of scale, of silence, of eternity. Sleep comes like the serpent's passing, slow, immense, steady, coiling gently around your dreams. Long before modern beacons shone with steady light, people placed fires upon cliffs, towers, and stone platforms, guiding ships across the dark. The lighthouse was not only a structure of stone and flame, it was a myth in itself, a promise that even in vast darkness, a light would remain. To sailors, The sight of a fire glowing faintly on the horizon was like the sight of dawn itself, reassurance, guidance, and hope. Imagine the sea at night, centuries ago. The horizon is black, the waves restless, the sky scattered with stars. But no moon. A ship creaks and rocks, its sails heavy, its crew silent with fatigue. Then, far away, a glow appears, small at first, then steady. A flame, set high upon a tower. It flickers, it leans with wind, yet it holds. The sailors straighten, their eyes fixed. They murmur thanks to gods, to ancestors, to spirits of sea and sky. The flame is not only light, it is safety, it is return myths. Grew around lighthouses. In Greece, the great Pharos of Alexandria was said to be so bright it blinded enemies, a jewel upon the coast. In Celtic lands, ghostly lights danced upon cliffs, guiding or deceiving, sometimes called the souls of drowned sailors. In Norse stories, fires tended on headlands were watched over by spirits, who kept the flame alive against storms. Each flame was both human labor and divine gift, reminding all who traveled that even the darkest night held a beacon. Picture yourself standing within a lighthouse chamber. The walls are stone, rough and cold. The fire burns in a great brazier, its light spilling out through windows cut to the sea. The air smells of smoke and salt. Outside, the wind howls, the waves crash, but the flame holds steady. You tend it carefully, adding wood, stirring embers, guarding its glow. You know that somewhere beyond the horizon, sailors watch for this. Very light, their safety tied to your flame. You are not alone. Your flame touches them, guides them, comforts them. Now step outside, onto the balcony. The sea spreads endless in darkness. Waves gleam faintly in firelight. Spray glitters like sparks. The wind is cold, the night deep. Yet far out, you see a ship sail, faint and small, moving slowly toward the flame. You breathe slowly, and you feel the calm of presence. The sea is vast, but the light reaches far. The myths of the lighthouse teach constancy. They remind us that in the darkest places, even the smallest flame can be guide. They whisper that light does not erase darkness. It lives within it, steady, patient, unyielding. To sailors, to families waiting on shore, to all who fear the horizon, the lighthouse promised return. Dadaeus dawn rises, the flame dims, its duty complete. The sea glows gold, the horizon softens, the ship nears shore. You sit within the lighthouse, eyes heavy, heart calm. The night was long, but the flame endured. Night returns, as it always does. You light the fire again, watch its glow spread. Listen to the waves hush beneath. You close your eyes, and the flame glows still, steady in dream, guiding you into rest as surely as it guided ships across dark waters. Among the oldest and most persistent myths of the sea are those of cities swallowed by water. Places once filled with voices, with music, with fires and markets, now lying silent beneath the tide. Their roofs covered in coral, their streets travelled only by fish, their plazas echoing not with footsteps but with the hush of currents. Every coast has such a story. Atlantis to the Greeks, Cantera Gwaelod to the Welsh, Wyas to the Bretons, entire towns in India and Japan said to lie just beneath. The waves. They are not only tales of loss, but of memory, reminders that the sea gives and the sea takes, yet always holds what it takes within its depth. Imagine approaching such a place in dream. The water is clear, the sun high. You lean over the side of a boat, and far below you see shapes, straight lines, columns, walls too even to be natural. You dive, and the water closes cool around you. Down you swim, your breath held, your heart slow. The city appears beneath, stone stairways descending into sand, statues leaning with coral, glyphs softened by moss. Fish dart through open windows. Seaweed sways where banners once flew. The silence is not empty. It hums with presence, as though voices remain, speaking softly through water. Myths of sunken cities often tell of pride punished. Atlantis fell for arrogance, its towers swallowed in a single night. Cantera Gwaelod drowned when a watchman neglected the sea gates. Wyas was swallowed by waves after betrayal of its rulers. Yet beyond warning, the stories carry calm. They suggest that nothing is truly lost. The cities remain, only changed. They are not erased but preserved, softened by water, embraced by silence. Now picture yourself walking through such a city in imagination. The streets are paved with sand, shells, scattered like jewels. A temple rises, its roof collapsed, its altar glowing faintly with reflected light. Schools of fish swirl like dancers across courtyards. A turtle rests upon steps, unhurried. The water is cool, the light gentle, the silence complete. You move slowly, each step sending ripples through silt, each breath steady. You feel no fear. The city welcomes you, offering its quiet as gift. The myths of sunken cities teach impermanence. They remind us that even the grandest structures may fall, that time and tide change all things. But they also whisper of continuity. The city does not vanish, it transforms. It becomes reef, it becomes story, it becomes dream. In this, it is not tragedy but cycle. As evening falls above the waves, the sunken city glows faintly with the last light filtering down. Stars appear in the sky, mirrored upon the surface, and beneath, the stones remain, calm, eternal. You float above, breathing slowly, the city beneath you like a dream within a dream. You close your eyes, and you drift into sleep, carried downward into the same silence, the same calm, the same eternal embrace. Long before compasses, before charts of paper, before engines hummed across oceans, sailors lifted their eyes to the heavens. The stars were their guides, their maps, their stories. To look at the night sky above a dark sea was not simply to gaze at lights, it was to read a book, to hear voices, to follow paths across infinity. Myths were woven into constellations, gods placed into patterns, ancestors remembered as shining points. The sea was vast, but the stars made it navigable, turning silence into direction, darkness into guidance. Imagine standing on the deck of a small canoe, the night wind cool against your face. The waves hush softly, the horizon invisible, the sky infinite. Above, stars scatter like seeds, countless, bright, steady. A sailor lifts his hand, pointing. That one rises where the sun will return. That one marks the path home. That one watches always, never moving. The stars are not distant. They are companions, guardians, storytellers. Their light crosses centuries, yet arrives faithfully each night, patient and sure. In Polynesia, master navigators knew the stars as intimately as family. They memorized the rising and setting points of hundreds, using them as compass across thousands of miles. Their myths told of star sisters, guiding canoes, of gods whose eyes shone in the heavens. In Greece, constellations became heroes and creatures, Orion the hunter, Delphinus the dolphin, Pisces the fish. In Norse tradition, sailors followed the steady star in the north, Polaris, believing it was the nail holding the heavens in place. Every shore had its myths, but all looked upward with the same. Or picture yourself lying upon the deck, eyes wide, the boat rocking gently. The stars seem endless, yet ordered. Constellations form patterns, lines invisible yet felt. You trace them with your gaze, connecting points into story. Perhaps you see a hunter, perhaps a serpent, perhaps only light. But always you feel calm, for the stars do not falter. Clouds may hide them, storms may rage, but they return, each night, each season, each cycle. The myths of sailor stars teach trust. They remind that even when the sea is dark, above remains light. They whisper that guidance can be silent, patient, steady. The stars do not speak, yet they lead. They do not move quickly, yet they endure. To follow them is to accept that direction need not be hurried, that arrival comes through patience. Now picture dawn rising. The stars fade slowly, the horizon glows gold, the sea shines again. The sailors rest, their eyes heavy, their hearts calm, knowing that night will bring the stars once more. You too close your eyes, carrying their glow within, their patterns lingering behind your lids. Sleep comes like starlight, soft, endless, eternal, guiding you gently across your own horizon. Of dream. Across many shores, people told of turtles so vast that they carried islands upon their backs. Their shells rose like hills, their flippers moved like tides, their eyes were steady as moons. These myths were not born from fear but from reverence. The turtle, long-lived and patient, was a natural symbol of endurance. To imagine one large enough to bear land itself was to imagine stability, the calm that carries all life. In Hindu tradition, the cosmic turtle supported the mountain used to churn the ocean of milk, from which all treasures of the world emerged. In Chinese myth, the great turtle Ao carried the pillars of heaven upon its back. In Polynesian tales, turtles guided voyages across seas, their shells glowing in moonlight, their movements steady as stars. Even in the Americas, stories tell of the world resting upon a turtle's back, land steady atop a shell that drifts gently through endless waters. Imagine such a being. The sea stretches calm, the sky endless. Then, slowly, the water swells, and a vast dome rises. It gleams wet, patterned with ridges like mountains, its surface wide enough for forests, rivers, and villages. Waves break softly against its edges as it breathes, slow and steady. From its side extend flippers larger than ships, moving with patience, stirring currents like wind stirs air. Its head rises, eyes deep, calm, timeless. It looks at you, not with threat but with acceptance, as though you too belong upon its back. To sailors, giant turtles were protectors. Their presence meant land near, safety close. To storytellers, they were images of balance, creatures that carried weight without strain, that endured without complaint. In their myths, the turtle was always calm, always patient, always enduring. Sit now in imagination upon the shell of such a turtle. Grass grows beneath your feet, streams trickle softly, birds sing faintly from trees rooted in its back. Yet beneath, the sea stretches endless, the turtle moving slowly across waves. The ground feels steady, yet alive, as though the earth itself breathes. You lie down upon the grass, the shell solid beneath, the sea rocking gently, the sky open above. You feel safe, carried, eternal. The myths of giant turtles teach patience. They remind us that endurance is not rigid but steady, that strength is not loud but calm. They whisper that life can be borne, gently, endlessly, across even the widest seas. As night falls, the turtle drifts onward, stars reflecting in the water, their light mirrored upon its shell. The sea hushes, the air cools, the world feels infinite yet secure. You close your eyes, and you too drift upon its back, carried slowly into dream, steady as tide, patient as time. On distant shores and in ancient seas, sailors spoke of voices carried on the wind, songs more beautiful than any human could sing, melodies so soft and haunting that they drew ships from their courses. These were the sirens, beings of sea and story, whose voices blurred the boundary between dream and waking. In Greek tales, they dwelled upon rocky islands, their songs luring sailors to wreckage. But over centuries, the myth softened. The sirens became not only figures of danger but symbols of longing, voices that spoke to the deep human desire for beauty, for rest, for surrender. Imagine a ship gliding across calm waters. The horizon glows with fading sun, the crew weary, their eyes heavy. Then, faintly, a song drifts across the sea. It is not loud, not sharp, but soft, like wind across reeds, like waves curling gently on sand. The sailors pause, their hands stilling on ropes, their eyes turning outward. They do not see figures, only hear the voice, rising and falling with tide. It is enough. Their hearts slow, their thoughts soften, their eyes grow heavy. The sea itself seems to sing them into dream. The sirens were often imagined as half-bird, half-woman in the earliest tales, perched upon cliffs with wings spread. Later, they merged with mermaids, half-fish, half-woman, their songs rising from beneath foam. But always they were presents, voices more than bodies, lullabies woven into myth. Some said their songs promised knowledge, others that they promised love. Yet whatever their words, their sound was always irresistible, not because of trickery, but because it touched the deepest need for beauty and calm. Sit now in imagination upon a rocky shore at twilight. The sea glows faintly, the air cools, the waves hush. You hear a song, drifting softly across water. It does not command, it comforts. It does not threaten, it soothes. You close your eyes, and the voice wraps around you like a blanket, its rhythm steady as tide. Whether sung by siren or by sea, it is the same, a song of rest, of surrender, of calm. The myths of sirens teach the power of sound. They remind us that voices can carry more than words, that tone, rhythm, melody can shape hearts as deeply as meaning. They whisper that longing is not weakness, that beauty is not frivolous, that to rest in a song is to rest in presence itself. Now imagine night upon the sea. The stars scatter above, the water glows faintly with their reflection. The ship drifts. Slowly, the crew asleep upon deck, the song still humming in their dreams. The sirens remain unseen, perhaps only the sea itself, perhaps only imagination. Yet the calm is real. The song continues, endless, eternal, weaving itself into tide and breath. You close your eyes. The siren's voice lingers, not sharp, not insistent, but soft, steady, soothing. Sleep comes as naturally as waves upon shore, as inevitable as tide returning, as certain as song in silence. In the sacred stories of many peoples, The ocean holds not only beauty but immensity, creatures so vast that they could never be caught in nets, never be described in full, never be fully seen. Among these beings, one name has drifted longest: Leviathan. In the Hebrew scriptures, it was the coiled serpent of the sea, fierce and mighty, a beast beyond human grasp. To later storytellers, Leviathan became not only a monster but a mystery, the embodiment of the deep itself, terrible yet awe-inspiring, threatening yet eternal. Imagine a quiet ship adrift in night. The sky is clear, stars sharp, the sea calm. Suddenly, the water swells, a shadow rising beneath. It is not a wave, not a whale, but something larger, stretching farther than sight. A back rises, gleaming wet in starlight, then sinks again, leaving only ripples. The crew stares in silence, their hearts steady, their breath caught. They have glimpsed Leviathan, not in wrath, not in roar, but in passing. The sea has shown its immensity, and then it has closed again. In myth, Leviathan was said to fight with gods, to thrash and rage, to swallow ships whole. Yet in quieter tellings, it became guardian of the deep, a presence too vast to be enemy or friend. Some stories said it would be defeated at the end of days. Its flesh served as feast for the righteous. Others said it would endure forever, circling the oceans, endless as tide. Always, Leviathan was scale itself, an image of the fact that the sea is larger than human thought. Sit now in imagination at the shore. The waves hush softly, the night deep. You gaze outward, and far away you see a swell of water, dark and immense. It moves slowly, deliberately, like breath. You feel no fear, only calm. For though it is vast, it is also steady. Its presence is not threat but reminder that the sea is eternal, that the deep is infinite, that within silence lives immensity. The myths of Leviathan teach perspective. They remind us that life is larger than our nets, larger than our maps, larger than our fears. They whisper that or itself can be restful, that surrender to scale is not weakness but peace. To glimpse Leviathan is to glimpse eternity, and eternity is calm. Now picture dawn upon the sea. The sky glows pale, the water warms, and the horizon brightens. The shadow is gone, the surface smooth, the waves gentle. Yet within, the presence remains, unseen but felt. You breathe deeply, and the calm of the deep fills you. You close your eyes, and Leviathan drifts into your dreams, not as terror, but as silence, vast and endless, carrying you softly into rest. Among all creatures of the sea, few are remembered with as much fondness as dolphins. Sleek, playful, and unafraid of ships, they have long been companions to sailors and fishermen. Myths from many lands speak of dolphins not only as animals, but as helpers, guides, and messengers of the gods. To see them leaping alongside a boat was to feel safe, to know the sea itself was watching kindly. Their presence turned fear into joy, their movements a reminder that even the deep could be friendly. Imagine a ship traveling far from land. The sea stretches endless, the horizon unbroken. The crew grows weary, their eyes searching for sign of shore. Then, suddenly, a splash, then another. Dolphins rise from the waves, arcing through the air, gleaming silver in sunlight. They leap beside the ship, racing at speed, crossing beneath its hull, appearing again on the other side. Laughter rises from the crew, their hearts lighter, their weariness eased. The voyage feels less lonely, less endless. The dolphins are companions, reminders of play even in vastness. In Greek myth, dolphins were sacred to Apollo, god of music and prophecy. They carried messages, rescued sailors, guided ships. Tales tell of Dionysus transforming pirates into dolphins, sparing them from punishment by turning them into playful guardians of the sea. In Polynesian stories, dolphins were ancestors reborn, swimming close to guide their descendants. In Celtic lands, they were messengers from the other world, their leaps a sign of blessing. Everywhere, they appeared as helpers, never as threats. Now picture yourself in a small canoe, drifting quietly upon calm water. The sun is warm, the waves gentle. Suddenly, a dolphin surfaces nearby, its breath sharp, its eye bright. It looks at you briefly, then dives, its sleek body vanishing. Moments later, it leaps, spraying droplets that glimmer like jewels. You laugh softly, your heart calm. The dolphin does not stay long, but its presence lingers, a reminder of joy, of companionship, of kindness. The myths of dolphins teach trust in the sea. They whisper that not all is danger, that within immensity there is friendship. They remind us that play has place even in struggle, that laughter is as ancient as tide. That guidance can come not in command but in presence. To sail with dolphins was to feel watched over, to feel embraced by the sea itself. As evening falls, the dolphins vanish into waves, their silhouettes fading in silver light. The horizon glows faintly with stars, the water calms. Yet the memory remains, bright arcs, soft breaths, playful leaps. You close your eyes, and in dream you still see them leaping beside you, racing waves, carrying you gently forward. Sleep comes with the rhythm of their motion, playful yet calm, endless as tide. At last, beyond coasts and reefs, beyond islands and storms, there is the open sea. No landmarks, no shores, no boundaries, only water stretching to horizon in every direction. To many, such a place might seem fearful. Yet for countless sailors, dreamers, and storytellers, the open sea was not terror but peace. Its slow heave, its endless motion, its quiet lull became the deepest of lullabies. The myths of the sea often end here, not in climax but in drift, where the ocean carries all things gently into silence. Imagine lying upon a raft beneath a sky thick with stars. The water moves softly, rocking you like cradle. The air is cool, the waves hush in rhythm, the horizon vanishes into night. You feel no need for destination. The sea carries you, steady and slow. Around you glide unseen presences, dolphins. Beneath, turtles drifting, fish shimmering in moonlight. Above, the constellations glow, mirrored faintly below. You are surrounded by infinity, yet you feel small, safe. Held in Polynesia, voyagers spoke of drifting canoes guided not by oar, but by stars, carried by seas will to lands beyond. In Greek imagination, the open sea was the path to Elysium, where the blessed dead rested. In Norse tales, souls travelled westward over wide waters, their ships silent, their sails pale. Everywhere, the image was the same, drifting upon seaways. Drifting into dream, sit now in imagination within such drift. You do not row, you do not steer. You lie back, eyes half closed, the boat rocking gently. The waves breathe with you, in and out, in and out. Time softens, thought fades, the world narrows to rhythm alone. It feels endless, eternal, as though you could drift forever without care. The myths of the endless drift teach surrender. They remind us that not all journeys need direction, not all motion needs goal. They whisper that to float is not to be lost but to be carried, that rest itself is voyage, that calm is destination. As dawn comes, the sea glows gold, the sky softens, the drift continues. You close your eyes once more, letting the waves carry you, knowing that this is enough, that being upon the sea, held by its motion, is itself dream.